Well, last year Austin and I saw Nonstop, which we liked,
Oh,
and this
okay.
was the director's follow up to that,
Oh
and the
yeah.
third film he did with Liam Neeson. The first one being Unknown. I thought Unknown was okay at best.
Okay.
I thought
I've never even
Nonstop.
heard of that one.
Yeah, I've never heard of that
It
one
was a
either.
Born Identity ripoff.
Oh, okay.
We talked about
With
that in
Liam
the
Neeson?
Nonstop review.
Yeah, okay.
But Nonstop, we both thought was pretty good. I thought it was a big improvement. This Run All Night was a big change from all those films.
Was it?
Much darker because Unknown and Nonstop are both PG-13. Kind of, I don't want to compare every Liam Neeson action film to Taken, but kind of that crowd, a safer crowd, a more mainstream crowd. The director took a much darker direction with this film. This movie is a hard R with extremely dark and immoral characters, and I loved this movie. I thought this
Oh,
was, I think out of the three Liam Neeson films this director has done, this one is the best. It's definitely the most different, but he took way more risks with this film. And this movie reminded me a lot of that Steven Seagal movie, Out for Justice, where he's the cop in New York trying to track down the cop killer. I showed it to you guys.
Oh, that's
It
the one where
kind-
he breaks the dude's arm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What? Actually, no, that's a different movie.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Either way, I'm not
Either
a
way,
super big
and it-
Seagal
yeah.
fan. But
Anyways, what it reminded me about Out for Justice was that both films soak in the New York atmosphere, and I love that. And like they give, and the director did this a good job in Nonstop too. But the director gave all the supporting characters a certain amount of depth, so that all the side characters are actual characters and not just there to move the plot along.
Yeah.
Like this movie is very atmospheric in a good way, and and you need that because
when you see them running around, you feel like they know where they're going through New York. Like
Mhm.
they've lived there their whole life.
exactly,
Yeah.
and you need as many characters as you can because you they definitely could not have just relied on the primary characters. I only say that because these characters are so dark and such terrible people that if it was only focused on these like couple characters, this might not have worked.
Yeah.
But what this works, unlike Sabotage, where the characters are so unlikable and so uncareable that there's nothing to invest into. These characters are bad people, but they're worth investing into. And again, they're three dimensional. They're three dimensional characters.
Yeah.
So even though they're not good people, they are interesting. They have depth to them. They have development to them. So Liam Neeson, this is not hero Liam Neeson. He plays a very, very just
Well,
washed up
anti-hero. Anti-hero.
at best.
At
At
best.
best, he's playing a very washed up person who has done terrible things, and as the movie goes on, you just hear more and more about the terrible things that he's done. But what works is that Liam Neeson has depth to his character, and Liam Neeson does a really good job playing him. That he's charismatic, and the big relationship in this film is the relationship between Liam Neeson and his son, who he's protecting throughout the film. But I found the most interesting relationship to be between Liam Neeson and Ed Harris.
Yes.
That-
Oh man.
That
Ed Harris-
was a great
That
chemistry.
Yeah.
felt like Robert De Niro and Al Pacino.
Yeah, like
Oh.
Ed Harris, I didn't think Ed Harris might not have had too much time in this film when going into it. I thought maybe he'll just be in a couple scenes and they'll put him at like the beginning, middle, and end of the film so it appears like he's kind of there throughout the film. But no, Ed Harris has a pretty good amount of screen time, and he does a great job because he's Ed Harris.
Yeah.
But like what you said, the chemistry between him and Liam Neeson was great, and the characters together, these two terrible people, just so unredeemable people. Like there was something just so interesting about it and so engaging about it, and it's so unapologetically dark and brutal in its atmosphere that it just works so well. But for the record, it's not like it's all unlikable characters. The son, who Liam Neeson is protecting, is a likable character, and his family is likable, of course. And there's a couple other people too. So that's why this movie, I think, ultimately worked so well. Is that while it's so dark, borderline depressing at times, the dark stuff worked because it had depth and context and three-dimensional development put into it, aka it was well written and not done in a lazy way, and it was mixed with likable characters and likable characteristics for us to be engaged in, if that makes sense.
Yes. Well, it also helped for me that Liam Neeson didn't just sleepwalk through this.
Yeah.
Like he actually looked like he cared about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that made it really good.
Absolutely, yeah. This is unlike Taken 3. He's putting. I mean, obviously,
Taken 3, he might have been sleepwalking.
Yeah, he was going through the motion. It's obvious that Liam Neeson, he must have a good relationship with this director since they've done 3 films now. Obviously, these two guys like each other. They like working with each other. So yeah, like you said, that helps a lot. It reminded me a lot of his performance in Walk Among the Tombstones. It's like. Mm-hmm. Liam Neeson knew, of course, he knew, he's not getting any Oscars for this film, but he's going to give it an Oscar type, or maybe not in this movie's case, but he's going to give it this all-out performance of, I'm going to give as much emotion, I'm going to give as much depth into this character as possible, and he gives this movie a run for its money. It totally worked.
He made it run all night.
He made it run all night. I think the title actually fit really well with this film.
The title and the whole feel of the film gave me a sense of old crime dramas.
Yeah.
Old gangster crime cop movies.
Yeah, that's why I kind of compared to Out for Justice. You feel like this is of course New York is real, but this is a real environment with real characters that all know each other. It just worked so well.
I feel like you could make a 1970s movie out of their past. Too.
Yeah.
That's that kind of relationship.
With Gene Hackman. Yeah, absolutely. I
liked the good detective, too, the guy from Law & Order.
He was good. Very minor role, but yeah, he was good. I loved Common, the rapper, who is the insane hitman.
Mr. Price?
He has very little screen time, but he was fantastic.
Intimidating and mechanical.
Just
a good killer.
Very good. He was great. He needs to do more action films. But I loved him in it. Only complained about the action scenes. Shaky cam.
Yeah, but
little annoying. It's not terrible, but it's a little annoying.
It's a lot better than some movies we've seen recently.
Absolutely. Well, much better than Taken 3's action scenes. And not just because
there was action scenes, I couldn't tell.
Oh yeah,
there was some shaky. I didn't know
exactly.
Really, was it that bad?
Yeah, it was bad. I don't want to just sit here and compare the whole film to Taken 3, but
well, after this, we'll have to tell you about the elevator scene.
Oh yeah. But but yeah, Run All Night. There's really not too much to say other than that. The only thing I didn't really like was actions were a little shaky. It's definitely not going to be for everybody.
Well, obviously.
I mean, this movie, Nonstop, we probably said the same thing, but with Nonstop, we were like, well, it's just kind of a dumb, turn off your brain, have fun action thriller. This is a very serious movie.
Yeah.
A very unapologetic, serious movie.
With some brutal action.
Yeah, with some brutal action. And not John Wick brutal, where it's can't be fun, but in the sense that it's realistic.
This is real.
Yeah. It feels very real. But again, I think it worked.
Oh, yeah.
I think it did it right.
Oh, yeah.
And it's action-packed, and it's engaging, it's intense.
Well, I mean, you also have to go into this film not just automatically hating all these characters because of their past and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to like them.
Except the son. But the first.
Yeah.
The drug
dealer. The one who
son.
dies, yeah.
Yeah, he was you could tell he was purposely set up.
He was intentionally made to be an
anything
unlikable
when
person, Yeah, in the beginning of this film...
And his friend, Mac, from Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
That wasn't...
He looked like Mac.
Yeah, okay, he looked like...
He looked like it.
Yeah, he looked a little bit like Mac. I can see where you got... Yeah. Yeah, in the beginning of this...
And then what Ed Harris did to him, oh my god.
That was ridiculous. Yeah, the noises he made as he kept getting stabbed.
Well, I don't know what noise you make when you get stabbed.
Well, I go, oh. But,
seriously.
Yeah, in the beginning of this movie, Liam Neeson in the beginning is not, and you realize very quickly he is not a good guy, and he's probably not somebody you care too much about, but his son is, and of course as the movie goes on, you kind of grow more attached to Liam Neeson's character. But I would give this movie a B. I really enjoyed it. I think this movie is much better than what the critics are rating it.
Yeah.
Is there anything you guys didn't like that hasn't been talked about yet that you want to point out?
Didn't like?
At least off the top of your head.
No, I mean it was.
Not really. I really liked it.
I mean, for some of the action scenes, I mean it's pretty good and everything, but some of them are kind of turn off your brain because of just how.
A couple of them, yeah. I kind of spaced out on a couple.
Okay. I mean, it was. For the purpose of what it was really cool. But the final kill when he loaded it,
and the slow motion of the bullet coming out of the barrel,
that would not happen like that. It's not that easy.
Yeah, and the slow motion of the bullet coming out of the barrel, I thought that was really unnecessary.
But
I didn't mind it.
It didn't ruin it. I mean, it was really cool.
I thought it was cool. It was kind of the same thing with Nonstop when he's in slow motion, falling back as the plane is blowing. But he has the slow motion shot, which it was all over those trailers. That kill at the end was all over the trailers for Run All Night too. They put that at the end of every trailer. So I was like, it's the same thing with Nonstop. They have to put the final kill, which don't do that, first of all. Do not put your climactic kill at the end of your trailer. I hate it when trailers do that, but...
now that we know what happened.
Yeah, exactly. But, speaking of which, my gosh, that trailer for Fast and Furious 7, I'm pretty sure showed us the entire movie.
Yeah.
And but we did get a trailer I hadn't seen before for the new Mad Max that looks
that
fantastic.
Was awesome.
Looks absolutely fantastic.
That is going to be such a fun movie.
And then
I'm going to see more.
And then there's
the Owen Wilson.
I was going to say the Owen Wilson Pierce Brosnan movie, which we had not seen.
Pierce Brosnan looks like a castaway.
He looks fantastic. He was like kicking butt in the trailer.
I know, but like his look.
Yeah,
he's
old.
I know you guys didn't care for Behind Enemy Lines.
Yeah.
But I think Owen Wilson will actually work for this one because he's supposed to be an everyman.
Yeah, this looks like a very intense film. It looks. Awesome. Owen Wilson is one of those.
Malaysia will appreciate it, but
Owen Wilson is one of those guys. I've teased him before, but I do want him to succeed in more serious films. I thought he did a good job at Inherent Vice, despite how much I disliked that movie. And so I was like, I want to see him do something good like that again. He hasn't been in a good film in a while. So, yeah, we'll see on that. I hope that looks pretty intense.
Cool. And Pierce Brosnan looks like
Pierce Brosnan was awesome. I'm sure we won't, because I'm sure it's much more about...
What is his push recently? We hadn't heard anything from him, basically, since he stopped being Bond, and then all of a sudden he's, in a lot of films.
Yeah, he was in Mamma Mia. Yeah, I know. He's suddenly he's ready to go back into action. Yeah, between November Man, this, and talk about being in Expendables 4. Yeah,
except he's going from Bond to I would kill everything.
That was November Man. November Man was not a good film, but he was amazing in it, and it's a hard R, and he you see him do headshots and just all. It was pretty cool to watch him in that film. He killed a lot of people in that film. But anyway, so we would all three recommend Run All Night, and that's our review for that. We'll have some new reviews up soon.